Good morning, First Service. My name is Joe Sparrow. I'm one of the pastors here. I oversee the Saturday night children's ministry. And what I want to do is give you a 5-minute introduction to our next Wednesday night Bible study series that I'm going to be teaching. And it's going to be called The Commands of Christ, or Making Disciples. And so in this presentation, I just want to give you a brief preview of how I was trained in the Marine Corps and then how I believe the Lord intends us to train disciples. So first of all, when I was 17 years old, I became a Christian. And I immediately joined the Marine Corps to get away from the environment that I was living in Trenton, New Jersey, which is even a war zone today. And so as soon as I joined the Marine Corps, they immediately sent me to a 12-week boot camp where they graciously, kindly, and lovingly taught me all the things I needed to learn about the Marine Corps. And so after that course, I went to, they sent me to Okinawa, Japan for 13 months, where I learned how to be a basic infantry Marine. And then from there, I went to Hawaii, where I joined a reconnaissance unit, and I was put on a fast-track 1-year program there in Hawaii. And the first course they sent me to was a scuba school there in Pearl Harbor. And at the conclusion of that course, we were called what we call combat divers in the Marine Corps. And then following that course, I went to a submarine course where we learned how to do what we call lock-in and lock-out of a submarine, where we hover at 60 feet, come out of the sub, go to shore, come back, and go back down into the submarine. And then after using the Navy's money, because the Marine Corps is good about using other people's money, they used the Army's money, and they sent me to the jump school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And here's a picture of me actually as a young sergeant there at Fort Benning. You raw. From that course, they sent me to a ranger course, which was 3 months long, which taught us how to fight in the desert, in the swamps, and in the mountains. And so after about 10 years in the Marine Corps, as an enlisted Marine, I became an officer. And as a young second lieutenant, I was put on a whole other training program. And the first course that they sent us to was the basic school, which was a 10-month course. And again, that taught us how to be a basic Marine officer. Following that course, I went to what we call close quarter battle course, where we learned how to shoot dummies that mess with America. And we went back out to the fleet, and then after about a year, they sent us back to another course, which was a 10-month course called Amphibious Warfare course. Then back out to the fleet. By that time, I was in Desert Storm. And then after Desert Storm, I came back to school to another 10-month course they call the Command and Staff College, where we learned tactical and strategic warfare. And I actually finished my career going to the National Defense University, where we learned global and strategic warfare. So after 25 years in the Marine Corps, I had almost solid 8 years of continuous training as a Marine. And then after 25 years, I retired with my lovely wife, Mike Kelly, I call her. And I had already started a seminary education, so I shortly finished a degree in Christian education, and I became a pastor at Calvary Chapel, San Juan Capistrano. When I was there, the senior pastor asked me to look into the education programs of the church, since I've had the Marine Corps background and I had a degree in Christian education. So I started right from the very beginning. When a person first becomes a Christian, how do we train them? After being in the Marine Corps and having all this training, all the things just to serve our country, how do we train someone to serve the Lord? And I was kind of shocked and actually challenged when I saw what I saw. This is pretty much the norm of what I saw. When a person first becomes a Christian, we give them like the biggest Bible we can find. Not a little pocket Bible, but like, here, take this big Bible and bring it home and read it. And after you read it, just try to figure out what it says and just go and do good Christian things. And some people will actually supplement their Bible reading by listening to K-Wave or doing book studies or coming to great churches like ours. And I want to emphasize this very gifted and handsome pastors that we have here. And I do want to add this, Pastor Mike really is, he has my highest respect as a pastor. He really is a godly man, and I really appreciate all the grace he has shown me, even on letting me teach on Wednesday night. So after I looked in all the wrong places on really how to make disciples, I finally just asked the Lord, I said, Lord, how do you make disciples? And the Lord led me to this verse, which is actually the last command that he gave his disciples in Matthew 28. Before he ascended into heaven, he actually gave me the answer on how you make disciples. It was specifically there. And this is what he said. He said, go therefore and make disciples. So there's a command. How? Baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey all that I have commanded you, or keep them to observe all that I have commanded you. And see, that's how you make disciples. You baptize them, and you teach them to observe all that Jesus commanded his disciples. So careful study of the 4 Gospels, I found out there's 49 specific commands that Jesus gave his first disciples. And so what we're going to do on Wednesday, we're going to look at one of those commands at a time to try to understand what they mean. Because Jesus said in this verse, he said, if you love me, keep my commandments. But if we don't know what those commandments are, then it's hard to keep them if we don't know them. So Wednesday, April 3rd, I hope you guys can make it. Until then, God bless you guys.